Hey everybody, welcome back to Barber Dave's Barbershop at Home. A blessed Sunday to you. As you saw in the intro, today is a very solemn day for Remembrance, 9/11/2001. It's hard to believe it's been 21 years. I think everybody can agree we know where we were, and I think throughout the afternoon we all just sat around and talked, but it brought our world together in a way that we haven't seen. So all I would say is let's not forget, ever. Anyways, so we've got a bunch of new stuff. Yes, we have a brand new sign, and yes, it says Barber Dave's Barbershop at Home. We've got merch, we've got the shirts, we've got the Barber Dave's device, is what we're calling it. And, of course, some coffee. So welcome, everybody. We certainly appreciate it. Now, great fun shave today. First of all, we're going to use my Grail razor, which is my Dorko 1151, and it's pretty much NOS. I love this thing. I did run it on the Convex Balsa for 30 spine leading, some X strokes and some straight spine leading, and then stropped at 60 on the old number 2 leather, and we'll see how the edge is. For the brush, and this is at a request of Thomas, novice wet shaver on the shaving forum. Oh, and before we forget, don't forget right down there, www.theshavingcadre.com. And then over here, please, if you would, click on that. That is my subscribe button. And then somewhere down in here, you'll find a bell. Make sure you click on that and you'll receive notification for any new videos, which we do usually Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. So now this is the shirt. You saw the coffee mug, everything else. So we will have those available at some point. Not sure when. Some people would be beta testing them for me, as they say. But back to see, I'm doing a Nurse Dave thing here today. Back to the subject at hand. I was asked by Thomas, novice wet shaver on the shaving cadre, to use a Boar brush and to give you my feelings on when the best usage is, how long they take to break in, how they feel on your skin, yada, 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 yada. So we're going to go all over that. And then the big news for today is, as you know, sometime back I received this. What is this, you ask? This is the mystery soap that I've been reviewing for a certain individual. Now that it's been made public, I can actually tell you what it was. And this is Seaforth Black Watch. Dennis had asked me to give him a barber's perspective, as well as a wet shaver's perspective on the soap, the fragrance, and everything else. And I got to tell you, now that I know all the specific notes, because I didn't even know the notes, I got some of them right, some of them I was way off, but it still matches with Penhaligon's Elixir. Now, there will be an aftershave and an EDT, so you may not need this, but for now, this is all I've got. And I would describe this, and somebody else on the cadre had asked me to go into the scent notes and everything else and what my feelings are on it. I would call it, and this is going to sound weird, a floral oriental gothic. What the hell does that mean, right? This is a Sunday go to meetin' scent. I would probably wear this more in the cool months, because of the incense and sandalwood that really come out on this, and we'll go into that as we get into the shave, because it does morph throughout the shave. And now that I know some of the scent notes, and once again, this is Blackforth from Seaforth. It's not out yet. It will be. And so this is kind of, now that I know what it is, kind of promote it. Right out of the gate, you get the jasmine and the plum. Now the plum, I knew there was something in there, but I couldn't figure out what it was. But it's got that beautiful Asian plum mixed with the jasmine, which gives you that floral note. And in the background of the initial sniff off the puck, so to speak, is the bergamot. And you can just smell it in the background. But as you take a deep breath, the incense and sandalwood and oak moss really hit you in the head. And that's what gives it that very high-class, dressy, put on the best watch you have in the tuxedo. This is definitely something you'd want to wear when you go out at night. This sounds funny, but this is something that King Charles would wear when he's meeting dignitaries. That's how high class this is. It's wonderful. So the basic notes are bergamot, jasmine, plum, leather, oak moss, incense, and sandalwood. Now the incense and sandalwood are the strong ones here, and they really come out. But you get the plum. I'm getting plum with just, if I was to pick one right off the scent, or right off the puck rather, plum is the first thing I smell. And then it goes into the jasmine, the bergamot, and then I'm not smelling much of the leather right now, or the oak moss. But the incense and sandalwood are saying, hey, we want to come to the front of the line. Now, normally I would lather this right off the puck because it's a medium soap, but I used the Barber Dave's device, scooped out about a pea size, and it's still a lot, into my Captain's Choice lather bowl, and watered it quite a bit, and I think we're good to go. So we'll get into that. But everything plays together really well. But as I said, for me, now I live in the desert Southwest, okay? So I think that I definitely overwatered this, so I'm going to put a little bit more soap in because this is a brand new base. And I kind of overwatered it because I'm not normally a bowl latherer, and I think that probably had something to do with it. Because the soap, those of you that watch me shave with this before know that this stuff just explodes. And I think what it was for me is I probably just put too much water in it. So I added a little bit more soap. There we go. That was totally operator error there, because the soap base, if you compare this soap base, Dennis's soap base with, now I do not have the lime, but I do have all of his other ones. And it's a wonderful base. Lathers real well. I did discover, obviously, that you can overwater this, but feels great on the skin. Now, as you're agitating it on your skin, obviously it's going to mix with some of your oils and stuff like that, so it may smell a little bit different to each individual person. But if you're sensitive to bergamot, be a little careful. If you're not, then you won't have any issues with it. I had no issues with it from the beginning. And now I'm smelling the leather. Now I'm starting the plum is fading away now, and now the primary things I'm getting now are the leather. Still haven't gotten a lot of the oak moss yet, but I'm getting the leather, the incense, and the sandalwood. But we'll see what happens when we add a little bit of water. That's what I love about soaps that have these multiple layers of fragrances, is they reactivate. Like right there, adding just a little bit of water, the plum kind of says, hey, I'm not done with you yet, and so forth. So now talking about and this is for Thomas, talking about a boar brush. Now, boar is a natural bristle from the boar. It is a tough one. Now, this is one of my oldest boar brushes, and it's still stiff. Now, a lot of people argue, they say, well, what do you mean by stiff? Scritchy, scrubby, go from there. Now, this Semogue is also a very old brush. In fact, it was one of my first, and it took a long time to break in, but I will tell you, once a boar brush breaks in, it is pure luxury. It holds water well, sometimes too much, and it feels very soft. Now, it's not gel tip. Anybody who says that a boar brush is gel tip, in my opinion, is wrong. But you do get the hairs to split, and I'll show you when we're done how it'll splay. The nice thing about a boar brush is for hard soaps, it's the best one on the planet, because you can really load it hard and then get exactly, like for Mitchell's wool fat, a boar brush is perfect for that. Plus, also, if you really want to get that scritchiness and really prepare your follicles, there's nothing like a boar brush. Now, some people don't like that because it feels like it's, putting a cactus up to your face. Well, you just got to be somewhat careful with it. But they'll last forever. Boar brushes are monsters. I mean, that's why boar brushes are used for hair brushes. You don't hear about a badger hairbrush. You hear about a makeup brush. but you hear about Boar brushes for beards because they're stiff, they hold their shape, they're easy to clean, and so I love them. Now, this is I don't get paid by this company at all. I'm not promoted by them company at all, but if I was to get a Boar brush, unless you have a brush maker that will put a Boar brush in for you, and there's plenty of Boar brushes out there, to me, there is no better Boar brush than a Semogue 620. Now, the Semogue Owners Clubs, any of the other ones are good too. I just like the 620 because it's a fun brush to use. It works really, really well. So now I obviously lathered a little bit longer than I normally do, but that was just because we were yakking. So right now, before I even start the shave, the base feels wonderful, and it's definitely an upgrade from his previous bases, from Dennis' previous bases. It is, not that any of his bases are bad. They're not. They're fantastic. But this one, it feels a little bit more pillowy, a little bit creamier, and so forth. Let's see how she stands up to the razor itself. And this Semogue 1151, the 1151s were a unique razor because they came in two different sizes, I think. I don't think they came in 3. I think they came in 2. And they came in a 6/8. No, maybe they did come in 3. A 5/8, a 6/8, and a 7/8, but they were all the 1151. I may be wrong about that. Our resident... That one's going to bleed. Our resident Jesus, Razor Jesus, Matt, Lukey3262, will probably correct me. Okay, so this has got a square toe, and it actually points out a little bit, and I just dug that toe down about 1.5 inches. So that's going to bleed a little bit. It doesn't feel bad, though, because it's very, very sharp. That's what happens when you should be paying attention to the toe and not yakking. But yeah, oh, that'll be a nice little stripe. But it's not deep. It's just very superficial. So what's the lesson for today? Make sure you know where the toe of your razor's at. And the razor was sharp before, but running it across the convex balsa has made it just hugely sharp. I'm definitely probably going to, I'm probably about 1/8 of the way through my razors as far as putting them on the balsa strop. But when I ever do re-hone anything, because I'm finding that this is bringing them back to life, I'll probably do all convex. And of course, this is from somebody who is a tried and true Shapton and Cauticule user. But I think the concave edges are going to work best for me. Okay, there is the first pass. Now, when I smell the soap now, after the first pass, now I'm starting to see and smell the oak moss. The plum is still in the background. The bergamot is kind of faded away. The jasmine, I think just plays well with the plum. Now right there, I just got a blast of sandalwood. Just a huge blast of sandalwood. So as I said, this, if you want a classy feeling shave, this is definitely going to be right there. I can't wait to get the Aftershave and EDT, because I think that's going to be game changing as well. And speaking of game changing, don't forget to check up here throughout the video for all the guys that support the cadre and make their own videos. We like you to check them out and make sure you subscribe to their channels as well. Yeah, I must have caught that toad just at the right angle to create a stripe, but it's not really creating any, it's not deep enough to bleed too much. You know, right now as I bring the razor across my face, and it's super slick, the razor glides effortlessly. And this is a full hollow, so she sings quite big. But definitely getting the leather, the oak moss, and the sandalwood. But the jasmine and the plum are not giving up the ghost just yet. You still get hints of it. The bergamot is pretty much gone, which is expected being it is citrus. But the cool thing is every time you relather, you kind of get to go through that whole journey again, which is kind of cool. Okay, second pass done with the Dorko. And I gotta say, this is definitely, the residual slickness is very good. It's actually better than I'm actually achieving because, like I said, I overwatered the soap, but that's because I ain't a bowl latherer. Now on the third pass, I'm really getting the oak moss in your face. The sandalwood and incense have kind of tailed off a little bit. The plum is still there. But I think also the combination of these fragrances also gives your face not a cooling effect per se, but it gives it a nice freshness. And I think that comes from the bergamot and the plum. It brightens everything up instead of being very, very heavy with the incense and sandalwood, which can be oppressive. I'm not a big fan of the dragon's blood fragrance, not because it's not good. It's just that it's a little too heavy for me, especially out here. Whereas this gives you that church-like feeling, you know, the Gothic castles and stuff like that, the concrete, that type of feel. But it also brightens up, which is nice. This is definitely a soap, aftershave, and EDT combination that you're going to want. Because it's wonderful. And these fragrance notes all play very, very well together. Those of you that watched my initial impression video, I was real honest with the fact that I thought it was heavy. But then as the shave went by and then the second time I used it, I started really getting the notes of the plum, bergamot, and jasmine, although I didn't know what they were. Now that I do know what they are, and my nose and my brain recognize them, it makes it that much nicer. And as I said, if I wouldn't have overwatered it, it would have made it even that much better. Because I did thin it out, and I can tell when I wipe it on my face that, or when I rinse, that that's where that came from. A little bit of cleanup today, not much. Yeah, the slice was so slight that even when I do the flat planing and flat blading rather, you can't even tell. So as far as the Boar brush is concerned, I love them. They'll last forever. They definitely have specific uses. If you don't like a little bit of scrub or a little scritchiness, Boar brush may not be for you. But once they break in, they are absolutely phenomenal. Very soft, and I'll show you here in just a second. We'll get cleaned up here. Really, really nice shave. Even with the soap being a little bit less than stellar, and that's my fault, it was still a great shave. Hardly anything on the alum except, yep, right where I dug the toe in a little bit, but not bad. Not as bad as I thought it was when I first felt it. So we'll get cleaned up real quick, and we'll show you what I mean by the brush. And these are the ones that I have are mostly two-banded Boar brushes, the ones from Semogue. We'll go over that in just a second. And today we're going to be using Quinns grapefruit, and what else is it? Pink grapefruit, orange rind, just to brighten things up. But this fades away quick because I put it on wet. We'll let that soak in for just a second. So as I said, I'm glad to be able to reveal that the soap that we used today was Seaforth, good guy Dennis at Spearhead Shaving, and it's Seaforth Black Watch. Again, we'll go over the notes again here in just a second, but it's definitely one you want to get. As I said, this is something that King Charles, James Bond, high-end dignitaries, you going to church, just tremendous. Now, obviously, I'll be using the aftershave and EDT when I do get it. But for now, I want to kind of, like I said, review the post-shave. Post-shave is just absolutely tremendous. Your face feels hydrated, moisturized, you know, and obviously adding everything else. But now you're smelling the incense and the sandalwood, but lightly, but the plum is still there. I mean, and that's what's kind of cool about this. And then for our aftershave today, we're going to be using Barbieri Aquae from Omega. This is just an aftershave gel. It's got a very light fragrance that goes away quick, but it does have silk proteins in it. So it does make the face feel really, really soft and nice. And like I said, the scent goes away really quick, so it doesn't ruin what's going on here. Now we're going to use some talc, Clubman. Once again, very light, very neutral to keep the scent. Because even though it's just the soap, it does have some residual. And now I'm getting the sandalwood and everything else. Now, when pairing the EDT, obviously you're going to be using the Seaforth EDT, but in a pinch for right now, it's really close. Like I said, Penhaligon's Elixir. It's different, but it still gives you that gothic. This is a little bit more incense and sandalwood forward with trying to think of, there's probably a little bit of lime in here, but it gives it that gothic, like you're walking through a cathedral. And as I said, this matches perfectly with this soap if you decide not to get the EDT, but why would you do that? Dennis is a great guy, and you definitely want it. So that was the EDT. Again, for the razor, we used the Dorko 1151, my Grail razor. Now, looking at the Boar brush. Now, this one is fairly new. This one's vintage. So this is an old Boar brush, but it's still breaking in. And I don't know if you can see that, but it's starting to split its tips. And like this one, and let me dry it off a little bit. This one is old. I mean, I've had this brush, well, it's probably one of my first brushes. Yeah, because this was my very, well, actually, I take that back. I don't even have it anymore. Yes, my very first high-end brush was the Shave Mac Americana, or Colonia. That was my first high-end Badger brush. My second brush I had made for a straight razor that I had, and this is a 2-band Badger. And you can see the tips here have kind of bent and stuff like that. They never really get gel-like per se, but they get very, very soft and nice. And then, of course, the Semogue, it splits and it gets huge, and there's the Semogue. And this thing is just wonderfully soft and everything else. So if you haven't gotten a Boar yet, you definitely need to do so. And then, of course, as we did all of our other stuff and everything else. So, and also don't forget that this shave was brought to you by Nurse Dave's Shaving World Poker Chips, the bluest poker chip in San Francisco. You can bet on it. So anyhow, I want to sincerely thank everybody for watching. We appreciate we're getting up there in subscribers. So again, don't forget to do this. Don't forget to come see us at www.theshavingcadre.com. And I really want to thank Dennis from Spearhead Shaving and Seaforth for allowing me to do that review. From a barber standpoint, would I use that in the shop for clients? Absolutely. Especially sometimes we do wedding parties and we do the groomsmen and stuff like that right before the wedding or a couple days before the wedding. I would use this all day long. Very high class, very, very uplifting. It's just a wonderful soap. The smells, you know, as I said, the bergamot, jasmine, plum, leather, oak moss, incense, and sandalwood all play well together. Like right now, post shave. Now I do have some of the Elixir on, but the plum is the one that goes away, comes back, goes away, comes back, and then of course the incense and the sandalwood are the foundation for this. So don't forget, when it comes out, Seaforth Black Watch, get it. I'm Barber Dave. This has been Barber Dave's Barbershop at Home. We'll see you again tomorrow. Have a great day, everybody, and blessed Sunday to you.